Okay, so we're back and now we're going to look at a basic backstitch. Backstitch is the most common beading stitch that you'll use in bead embroidery. Just to give you an example of the different things you can do with backstitch, this little turtle, all these green beads around the central bead have been backstitched, and the next rounds outside, the next 3 rounds, plus these little back stitches, these rows of back stitching on his hands and feet. And you can see that you can get different effects from the same stitch simply by using larger and smaller beads and different shaped beads. So it's a very versatile stitch, and it's the principal stitch that you would use in bead embroidery. How do you start? We'll just do a sample today on a piece of white interfacing, and you can see I've used my pen to draw a straight line. And the best way to start is to secure the thread on the back. So I'm going to bead along this line, and I'm going to use groups of three beads each time in using bronze 8s. These nice bronze beads here. So the first thing we'll do is tie a knot in the back of the piece. So just grab a little bit of fabric, pull the thread through, go back through the same 2 holes, hold that little tail down, and just do a standard knot. I like to secure it with a second knot just to make sure, and I like to go in the opposite direction so you can see it's just a standard knot. Okay, that's what it looks like at the back. Now we're going to bring the needle up at the end of the line. Let's get some of these bronze 8s. I'm only using bronze 8s today to show you an example. Normally I'd be using an 11 or even a 15, so this is just a little test. Now I know that there's a temptation to bead a long string, but try and keep to 2 or 3 beads. Let the beads drop to the bottom of the thread. You can easily see whether you're straight or not by drawing the thread along the drawn line. Put the needle down through the fabric, slightly ahead of your 3 beads, and gently lay them on to the line. Now you can see that you've got a little bit of give in your beads at the front. This is what it looks like at the back. You've just brought the needle up through the fabric. Now what you need to do is bring the needle up again at the beginning of the line. Take the needle all the way through the 3 beads like a little tunnel. And that is backstitch, and you're ready to do your next 3. Let's put another 3 on the needle. Let the 3 beads drop down to the bottom of the thread. Line the thread up with your drawn line and put the needle into the thread, into the fabric, slightly ahead of your beads. Gently pull the thread through so that the beads are nicely lined up. This time, bring the needle up between the first group of 3 and the second group of 3. And now tunnel through the last 3. Let's put another 3 on the needle. Let the beads drop down. Use the drawn line to line up your thread correctly. Pull the thread through to the back of the fabric. Bring your needle up between the second set of 3 and the last set of 3 that you just put onto the needle, and then bring your needle through those 3. Let's do another one. Bring the beads down to the bottom of the thread, put the needle through the fabric just slightly ahead of those 3 beads. Make sure that they're nice and snug against the fabric, and then bring the needle up between your third set of 3 and your last set of 3. Now I'm going to do 3 more sets to the end of the line. The reason why you put the needle slightly ahead of the fabric is to ensure that you're not getting your line of beading puckered. If you put them too close together, then they'll bunch up. And now we'll put one last set on. Bringing the beads down to the bottom of the thread, resting them against the fabric, aligning your thread and the line that you've drawn on the fabric. And then bringing your needle in between the last set of 3 and this set of 3. To finish, take your needle back down through to the back of the fabric, turn over, and then tie a small knot to secure, and trim. This is the most common beading stitch that you'll be using, the backstitch. You can bead it in blocks of 1, 2, 3, and some people even bead in more. One of the things you might notice about this is that when you run your finger along the backstitch, the line of beading, the beads will move. However, they are quite secure, and you can be confident that if you're backstitching, and particularly if you're backstitching in blocks of 3 or 2, then that's enough to secure your work. In these little pieces you can see that when I run my fingers across them, there's no movement at all. And in the next video I'll explain to you how to make sure that your beads don't move around when you've finished your backstitch. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.